What is good? We're back. Got a tripod for your pleasure. All right, so we got 24, the class of 24 versus the class of 25 here. I figured the draft was coming up. Good time to talk about this. I think we all kind of knew coming in that the first start of this would be heavy 24 because this 24 class was a pretty top-heavy class when the dust settled, But to remember, there weren't people weren't so excited after 104, coming into it. So I thought it was a good time to revisit, kind of put these classes up against each other. We're going to find some fun talking points to talk about here, but mostly I think it'll be fun to revisit this post-draft and then revisit it in November and see how much this shit has changed, right? Because some of these guys we think are sure things right now might have slid a little bit. Some of these guys that we weren't even considering, maybe it's RJ Harvey, maybe it's Alec Iomanner, who's all up in the, we didn't even draft him, So that's kind of how quickly this thing can change, right? And that's what we're doing right now. So let's jump into it. We did it kind of mock draft style with obviously the settings being super flex, 1.5 tight end premium. We're going to just alternate picks here. We'll go through the first round and then we'll come back and kind of talk about it. So Chev, you kicked us off. Who'd you take at the 101? 24 versus 25 class.
Oh, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. Pretty easy. How about the 102? Where are you at here, Austin?
Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors goes off the board at 2. I'm going to go Brock Bowers at 3. Chev, back to you.
Yeah, that was Brian Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas Jr. the 3rd coming off the board there. So, that was, people wouldn't have called that out last year. All right, Austin.
105 is Ashton Jeanty.
Boom. We got the first 2025 rookie off the board. At 106, I'm going Caleb Williams. 107, Chev.
Oh, Knicks.
Ooh, Bo Diddley coming off the board. 107, who you got, Austin?
108, right?
108.
The consensus 101 last year is now the 108 Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Marvin at 108. I got 109. I'm going Drake May. Chev, who you got 110?
Lad McConkey.
Old laddie. Austin, 111.
Omarion Hampton.
And then at 112, we're going to round out this first go round with Michael Penix, my guy from last draft. Had to get him in there. Had a great ending to his first year when we didn't even think we'd see the field, and now Kirk's the backup and potentially being traded again. Leading up to the draft, people didn't even think Penix should be a first round pick, let alone now a top 12 fantasy quarterback right now, dynasty wise for a lot of people. So again, that's how quickly this thing can change. We think we know everything at this point. We don't have landing spots tied to these guys, right? And so Travion Henderson goes to the Bears, and maybe all of a sudden you feel some type of way about him. But right now they're sitting empty. Let's go back and look at this and say, all right, Jeanty is the first guy off the board at 105. Does anybody have a problem with Jeanty going at 105 there? Is there Chev? Do you think somebody else should have went, or
no? There's no way. Maybe you could flip flop he and Caleb, but the situation that you're walking into with Ashton Jeanty being the confirmed 101 in the 25 class and his projected draft capital of being the guy from this class, like the one confirmed running back that we have that's going to be a first rounder almost without question. And him, whatever role that is, whatever team he goes to, he's walking in as the alpha in that room. So I can't fault you for that. I mean, Caleb Williams, you could go, that's as far as I would go. Maybe you flip-flop he and Caleb Williams, but that's conjecture. That is, if they were in a draft together, Marvin Harrison Jr. was the 101 in drafts last year, just like Austin just said. I just almost call you Ashton, but so if you flip flopped and you put Ashton Jeanty in that class, is he going 101 over Caleb? Probably. Mm-hmm. So there's no problem here with it. It's just, hey, does this, obviously the value of the quarterback is more crystallized, and you're going to have more of a shelf life. And if Ashton Jeanty falls on his face, his value drops a lot more than Caleb Williams does after just like a mediocre year. If Ashton Jeanty has a mediocre year, his value is going to drop a lot more than what Caleb's would. But I don't have a problem with him going at 105 right there.
Yeah. What, Austin, is there, how much earlier would you have taken him, or was this the spot? Is Brian Thomas or Bowers or, either one of those guys Jeanty before them, or do you feel that was like the appropriate spot?
I thought it was appropriate, man. And I think this is just a true testament to just how incredible the 2024 class is, right? Like Ashton Jeanty going fifth here, dude, he had over 2,600 rushing yards, and he's barely cracking the top 5 in just this and last year's class, right? I mean, dude, he had more yards after contact than the second leading rusher in all of college football last year, which was Cam Scatterbo at 1,700 yards. Jeanty had almost 2,000 yards after contact. So, dude, he's a blue chip prospect. I view him as a top 3 prospect, keyword prospect, right? I'm not talking, who knows what the hell he does once he gets into the league. But as far as a prospect go, I think that Jeanty is really up there with the Abdul Carters and Travis Hunter. I think he's in that tiered, man. I think he's that good. And again, the fact that he's 5th just shows how good how spoiled we were with that 24 class.
Yeah. I mean, and again, like that 24 class came out and really set the world on fire, at least on the high end of things. But, Caleb was one of the guys that was, for the most part considered consensus 101, 102, throughout that whole process, and people were gaga for him most of the time. And then as things go on, people get tired of him. And then there's, all sorts of things that come out that people just pretty much kind of hate Caleb Williams at this point. Are any of you guys concerned? Is Caleb too early in this situation here?
No.
They're about to be teammates, man. Maybe.
Jeanty and Caleb?
Yeah, dude, wheels up for both if that happens, right?
Facts. Yes. Because nobody talks about Ashton Jeanty as a pass catcher, but his junior year, he caught 43 passes for 569 yards, I believe. So he had 700 yards in his last 2 years as a receiver. So he can catch passes. And with Caleb, you're expecting this step forward. Well, he was 297 yards away from setting the Bears' all-time single season passing record as a franchise, as a rookie. So, and everybody talks about how bad it was.
Right.
And we expect it to get much better. So no, I don't have a problem with Caleb right here. The ceiling is still much higher than what I would project for Bo Nix, even though Bo Nix is awesome.
Right. Well, here's the thing, right? Right now, Jaden Daniels just had an electric year, and I'm not belittling Jaden Daniels by any means, but like this time next year, Caleb could be the 101 and Jaden could be at the 106 because I think the rushing upside will keep Jaden Daniels up. But like, does Cliff's offense take a step back? Does Jaden have a little bit of a sophomore slump? Like nobody in the world would have told you that CJ Stroud adding Diggs and having a healthy Tank Dell and Nico all in there, adding Joe Mixon would be a 3rd round startup pick right now. Right. But and that's just kind of, I think, part of this exercise for me to wrap things around is everyone gets so sure of like right now, Jaden Daniels is like the 101 in startup drafts, right?
There's a lot of people's quarterback 1 in Dynasty, period.
Right. Which I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. What else are you supposed to do? That's what he just came out and did his rookie year. It was crazy. And he looks awesome. And I'm not saying that he's going to have a sophomore slump or anything, but just how quickly things can change. I think Caleb, I think because the narrative around Caleb was so negative, and then when some people watched him, he didn't come out and do what Jaden Daniels did. People started to be like, "Oh, he sucks. He's overrated." But he really had a pretty freaking good year for a rookie quarterback. Like if Jaden Daniels didn't do what he did, I think we would be fine with what Caleb did. Like he was so close to winning so many more games too. Like he could have easily been,
Dude, they were 4-2 at one point, and a Hail Mary kept them from being 5-2.
Right.
And they ended up losing 9 straight games
after that. Yeah.
Yeah. They ended up losing 9 straight games, one of which is a blocked field goal at the very end of the game, like a chip shot blocked field goal. And So this is
Thanksgiving. They didn't call a time. Thanksgiving was a weird game,
Exactly. So they could be, if they're a 7 or 8 win team, how differently do we view Caleb Williams' rookie year?
I was excited to get Caleb Williams there. Is Brock Bowers too high, or is this appropriate value on Brock Bowers? What do you think, Austin?
Oh, dude, Brock Bowers is the greatest to ever, dude. He could retire today and Hall of Fame, put him in. I'm putting him in. I mean, no, but man, on a serious note, no. Brock Bowers, what more? Like, we knew he was in the conversation for the greatest tight end prospect of all time. I don't like to throw that around often. Like, Brock Bowers literally fit that mold. And he just showed everybody he was the truth in year one, right? And he did that with backup quarterbacks, man. Now, I'm not bullish on Geno, but you can't, even someone like me who's significantly lower on him than consensus, I recognize that is a big bump up for Brock Bowers, right? So let's see what he can do, man. I know Devontae's out of town. That receiving core is going to look very different. I think that they're going to probably add someone, I think on day 2, right? Whether it's round 2 or 3. We'll see what the Raiders do. I know Jacoby Myers is still going to get his, but I mean, hey man, like the Raiders, they have to address a lot, man. They got to go get a running back as well. So, but there's no question Brock Bowers will continue to be a focal point for that offense.
All right. Well, I feel like we need to maybe temper a little bit of Brock expectations this year of just like, it was so good last year. And
pants are off.
I mean, and again, I'm not trying to kill Brock Bowers, but like he's awesome. He's the tight end 1 or 2, kind of however you want to shake it down. And Dynasty should be great. I think 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if Trey McBride outdoes him, this year in fantasy points and catches. I mean, he'll be in the mix for top 3, top 2, top 5 at worst. But like, you get a Pete Carroll offense. We'll see what Chip and him kind of put together. Geno really hasn't been a guy who lights up the tight end per se. Are you concerned if they add Tet McMillan at the top at all? Like, then it's, we're everyone feels or a day 2 guy that you really like. No,
not for me. No, I mean, like, this is pretty crystallized in my mind. Brock Bowers is a lock for 150 targets. I mean, he's a slot receiver playing. He plays in line. He can play in the slot. He had the 3rd highest slot rate, I believe, out of all tight ends, if I'm not mistaken. And he can do it all. I mean, he can do the stuff a traditional receiver does. So you have a unicorn prospect at tight end. Travis Kelce's on his way out. So why wouldn't we have, like, if we have someone who's doing those types of things and giving you borderline wide receiver 1 numbers, like, he's the position separator. He and Trey McBride both. If Trey McBride scores 8 touchdowns instead of 4 in 2024, like, this is, it's a toss-up, but Brock Bowers is a couple years younger, so he gets the nod. But you're talking about two unicorn prospects at tight end. Yeah.
All right. You took Bo Nix at 1.7. Any issue with that, Austin? Was there somebody else you would rather have there at the 107 than Bo Nix?
It might be like, I don't even know if it's a hair early, man. Bo Nix is proved a lot of people wrong, myself included, and I'm happy for him, man. I feel like he fell into a very good situation with Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. I think he's going to continue to build, right? Like, that's another team, the Broncos, that are primed to probably draft a wide receiver. Again, I think day 2 makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's rumblings about it could be day 1. Hey, maybe they go after like an Omarion Hampton day 1. Who knows? But they're going to definitely get significantly more firepower on their offense, right? In order to compete in that AFC West, right? So I feel like it makes a lot of sense to draft Bo Nix here, man. I think he's very safe. I think he's got that upside, man. He showed that he could move in college. He can do it in the NFL as well, right? His arm looked pretty damn good too. So I'm with it.
Yeah, it looks like everything is going to be upgraded around Nix, including the defense, right? The defense just added Hufanga and they added Greenlaw. Now, hopefully those guys can be healthy, because if they're healthy, those guys are problems out there to add to an already problematic defense. And then it seems like you're going to add, at least at worst, a round 3 running back and maybe a round 2 wide receiver, or a round 1 running back, or a round 1 wide receiver. And you've added Evan Ingram, and you have Mims coming on, and you have Franklin. So you have guys who can do some different things. And then Cortland Sutton, just the OG over there, just doing what he does, just perennially, I think an underrated, underappreciated receiver in the league, and finally has a quarterback and a system to kind of flourish under. So Nix and Marv are one pick apart in our ADP right now. Marv's got the nod, one pick ahead of him, 301 to 302. So I think a lot of people lean May over Nix. Why did you go Nix over May, Jeff? Well,
the clarity of situation, the clarity of play caller, the clarity of talent around the quarterback. There's no reason why there's no argument I could make outside of maybe Drake May's rushing floor is a little bit higher, but Bo Nix gave you 490 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground last year.
Yeah.
So, and he was, he and Jaden Daniels are the only rookies to lead their teams to 10 wins, account for 4,000 yards and score 30 touchdowns. So I don't have to big brain it. They've got the scenario, they've got the situation laid out for them. We don't have to make it harder than what it is. Well, you have to project Drake May to take a step forward or the situation to get better. Everything is optimal. He's in the Garden of Eden in terms of fantasy goodness. Like we don't have to project anything for him. So for me, it's going to be Bo Nix over Drake May until I see something that allows me to put Drake May above him. But I'm bullish on that for me.
Chev, I like that you touched on Drake May's floor for rushing, right? But I just want to point out, and I'm with you, Bo Nix had 38 rushing touchdowns in college, right? Crazy. Right. 38. That's a stupid number.
Right. Played for 100 years.
That's correct. I know. I was waiting for that. I was going to say, yell at me in the comments. That is factual, but still, hey, man, 38 touchdowns is 38 touchdowns on the ground.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, and it translated. He had 400 yards and 4 touchdowns as a rookie, and that feels like it's going to stay. Like they're not going to take that out of the game plan. So Sean Payton isn't in the habit of just changing up what works for the sake of changing it up. They get a better running back. That just means that he's going to be like, if they run a read option, the defensive end is going to crash down and leave Bo Nix wide open. Like you have to decide, do you want to try to leave Omarion Hampton wide? Like you want to leave Omarion Hampton a wide open lane to run, or do you want Bo Nix to run the ball? So I feel like even though this could be as good as it gets for Bo Nix, I don't feel like that. Like I don't feel like we had a ceiling performance, especially not from a rookie quarterback in the first year in an elite system.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good segue there. We had Omarion Hampton as the second running back off the board, the second 2025 player off the board, going in here at kind of 111. And again, not so much about the mock, just kind of giving us some ideas of some conversation to talk around. What would have to happen with Omarion Hampton landing spot wise to reverse your pick, Chev, to take Omarion over Ladd there?
To take Omarion over Ladd, we would have to see him. I mean, that would be no, because I mean, you have to at least account for the fact that Najee's gonna eat into some of that workload in year one. So we might, from a dynasty perspective, we can be super bullish on Omarion Hampton, but Najee's going to get some of that work. He's literally never missed a game before. I know Matt Kelly pointed out the fact that, just because it's never happened before doesn't mean it's never going to happen. The Broncos, the Bears, the Cowboys, one of those landing spots, potentially the Raiders at 37 in the second round.
Cowboys at 12.
Yeah. Cowboys at 12 would be diabolical. It's a terrible process, but I would love that. And let me ask y'all this. Would that bump him ahead of Jeanty?
No.
Okay.
I don't care if Jeanty goes to the Saskatchewan Roughriders for a year. I'm taking Jeanty.
Reference right there, bud.
That's exactly how I felt, man, a few years ago when we saw it was Jahmyr Gibbs projected right around 30 to 35 overall, and he goes 12. And I jumped out of my chair. I was like, I couldn't believe the draft capital. So Chev, we're talking about this right now, and I just feel like this aligns very well. I mean, hey, what if a team like the Cowboys actually want to pull trigger at 12 and Jerry's drank a little extra that night, right? You never know. So we're going to be surprised on draft day. We just don't know what it's going to be, right? This would be, and hey, man, the final thing I'll say, nobody in the world thought or at least I don't think that Jahmyr Gibbs was going to surpass Bijan in dynasty rankings. And here we are 2 years later, right? And like, I felt like there was a fat tier gap between the two, right? People were worried about 199 pounds for Jahmyr Gibbs. And now it's like, it's neck and neck, man.
People are the sizest over there.
Whoa.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Well,
I agree with that.
He's changed his ways a little.
I agree with the notion that like the floor is safer for Bijan, and it went better. I would say that it went better for Jahmyr Gibbs even than we could have expected in year one and year two, or especially in year two. 1,900 yards, 20 touchdowns. He's basically 25 points a game from weeks 15, week 14, week 15 to 18. He's 25, 27 points a game at bare minimum, going over 35, in the fantasy playoffs, I believe twice. And so, it's incredible. He's incredible. He's even better than what we expected.
Yeah. I feel like Pittsburgh, or if you went to Dallas or Denver, I think any of those spots, and I think people will be more than excited about LA, but there might be a little bit of damper put on by, like you said, I think those things would certainly, and the first round capital would certainly, move him up this 24 versus 25 board for some people here and flip flop him over Ladd. Maybe some people would say over Marv because they're out on Marv. I think, we've kind of stayed the course with a guy like Marv because I think it's all still there. So
yes,
that is. What's that?
100% it still is.
Yeah.
I just finished talking about Marv on the podcast, and Marv, amongst the top 10 dynasty wide receivers we have, Marv was third amongst these guys in end zone targets and tied for first in end zone targets that resulted in touchdowns. So even though it was a disappointing from an overall perspective, like he's getting elite usage in parts of the field that score a lot of fantasy points.
Yeah.
And it could just get better if if Drew Petzing stops being a fucking douchebag and just gives him some easy targets. Just give him easy targets, man.
Scheme him up like the other guys are scheming the Neighborses and the Brian Thomases of the world. That's what you should be doing a little bit for your good guy there. But I thought Cody Carpentieri made a good point when we were talking, like there'd be press conferences like we need to get Marv the ball more, and then he'd have 5 catches for 100 yards in a quarter. And then it's there. If you throw it to him and you feed him, he's going to go out there and produce. Austin, I know we talked about it a million times. He had an easy chance to go double-digit touchdowns and over 1,000 yards this past season, Marv, right?
His second game in the NFL, Casey, the first quarter, what do you have? 100 I don't know. It was 150 yards, whatever. He had more receiving yards than the entire league in week 2. And he did it all in the first quarter, right? If you remember, he didn't have a single catch after that. And it's what are we doing, man? Just get the ball in his hands, get him in space, just pepper him 8, 10, 12 targets a game. Just do it. You spent the draft capital. Why not? And with all due respect, the Arizona Cardinals just suck, man. They're just not getting the job done. Might want to use your blue chip prospect,
Yeah. All right, let's jump into the second round. Chev, you let us off. Who you got?
Oh man, this one is the one I kind of wanted back, but hey, fuck it, we ball. Bucky Irving.
All right, Bucky. Who you got, Austin, at the 202?
Tyler Warren. And I went Tet McMillan here, and I think that was my screw up, and we'll talk about it as we get through here. Chev, who you got at the 204?
I went with my boy Quinshawn
Judkins. All right, at the 205, Austin, who you got?
Cam Ward. I feel pretty good right here.
Love it. All right, I took JJ McCarthy on the next pick, mostly just to spice it up because I didn't feel that way in my plums, but I wanted to put those guys back to back because I probably would have taken Travion here, and Rome Odunze is one of the next picks, and I would have taken him over Tet. I screwed it up. So I would have been fine with Henderson or Caleb Johnson or maybe even Xavier Worthy over McCarthy. And I know this might sound crazy, but we'll talk about it. Who'd you take at 207?
Travion Henderson.
Austin, 208.
Rome Odunze.
Got a gift. 209, I went Caleb Johnson. 210.
Xavier Worthy, brother.
Seemed like an easy pick. 211, who you got?
Emeka Egbuka.
And I'll wrap up the second round with Shedeur Sanders. So this kind of gets us out of the 24 class for the most part. There's guys left like McMillan and Pearsall and Tracy. And so, obviously Luther Burden, Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden. And I think we're all in agreement to say at this point, like, if Travis Hunter was playing full-time wide receiver, where would he have fallen in this draft for you guys?
For me?
Yeah.
I would have taken him where I took Ladd.
Okay. So one up in the 110 or in front of Omarion Hampton?
Yeah. Like I've said it. He's my wide receiver 1 in this class.
Austin, what do you think if Hunter was confirmed full-time wide receiver?
So he is playing only wide receiver, nothing on defense. Is that correct?
If he played on defense, it'd be moonlighting as a man corner.
Okay. I think that's appropriate range. Yeah, probably right there, man. You said right. Did you say right after Ladd?
I said I would take him instead of Ladd. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, instead of Ladd. Okay. Like I'm okay with that, right? I think most people would probably lean that direction. Like we saw Ladd get it done. He looked like a superstar, and we know that Travis Hunter is I'm going to just say he's more than capable of doing that, replicating that as well. So I'm cool with that range for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems appropriate. I think some people some people are really jazzed on him playing wide receiver. It's wild that we go from 0 to 100 we go from 0 to Justin Jefferson comps. And I'm like, could we just pump the fucking brakes here? Like, we love the body control. We've talked about it all. Like he's a ridiculous athlete, but like we went straight there. Like that's wild.
Matt Harmon said that he's basically Odell Beckham reskin when he dropped the reception perception eval on him. So it's just you're putting ridiculous expectations on him, but also he won the Biletnikoff and the Heisman.
Yeah.
So
he's a gangster.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's the comps are really high. The expectations are really high. Andrew Berry, the Browns GM, said that they view him as a full-time wide receiver. And so now we're hearing that he's potentially going to the Browns. They favor him at the second pick. So that's going to start to get more steam. I feel like I feel like.
Do we think that's going to happen? And how, Chev and Casey, what do you guys think if he falls to 3, which is very possible it goes to the Giants? Like, does that change your opinion on him in Dynasty a little bit? Like, would you be considering moving him up or down a little bit, whether it's Cleveland or the Giants? Because I feel very confident it's going to be one of those two teams. I don't think there's a world that exists where he falls to 4. I think it's 2 or 3.
If it's Cleveland, there has to be another move made, right? Because you're going to take Chuck in the top of the second, and then that's it.
Said that they would,
right? But I guess is it Kirk? Then you gotta go pick up Kirk Cousins because you're going to go into the season with Shuck and Pickett. I think that would deter my. My love for Travis Hunter, at least just knock you a little bit. Not, and I'm somebody who can look past a year for how good somebody could be, but we did it last year with Neighbors. So I think you feel better, I think, in New York with Hunter. At least I do, I think. Is that what you were saying?
That would be a scary duo, man. Neighbors and Hunter. Oh my God. Yeah,
that's absurd.
And Wan'Dale Robinson literally caught 1 million passes last year for 18 receiving yards.
Yeah. So Neighbors did give Wan'Dale some love, though.
Yeah, shout out to Wan'Dale Robinson.
He's really good. That's the thing. Is the talent is undeniable. So New York has a slightly better temporary stopgap quarterback situation.
Right.
So
it's not solved.
No, it's just solved for right now.
Both of them have a similar problem, but one at least temporarily looks like it could be, mediocre, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, all right, you got Bucky at the 201 over I think I would. I'm in camp. I'm taking most of the rookie running backs over Bucky. I think I'm alone in that sentiment. I think most people love Bucky now.
I mean, we've been here. We've talked about this. We've beat this point until it was black and blue. Like Bucky right now is ahead of Jonathan Taylor in our ADP. So, I mean, he's giving you a 1,500 yard season, 1,500 yards from scrimmage. I've talked about that. He's the only guy since Alvin Kamara to do it on 50% of the snaps. He's extremely efficient. But so, I mean, I do feel like I'm taking him at his ceiling and removing a little bit of value, but also he's still, I mean, he could get better. Like I said, there's one, that's the one pick out of all of these that maybe I would have done again. Maybe I go Travion. Maybe I go Quinshon. Quinshon's my RB3. Maybe in this class, maybe I go Quinshon. But I feel like it's still a safe pick. You're not having to guesstimate pretty much unless you think that he's going to regress in a diabolical manner. So, yeah.
Austin, what do you think? I think we've talked about this too at one point on a like kind of a what's your first worth situation, Bucky or some of these running backs? Where do you stand there with that pick? Would you replace him with? First of all, you took Warren at the next pick. Where would Bucky Irving fall if Chev hadn't taken him here for you?
Just a little bit further, right? Bucky proved that, I loved his profile, man. He really just had a bad 40 time that I swear on my life, I genuinely think his combine performance impacted his NFL draft capital that much, which ultimately it was a domino effect, which had consensus significantly lower on him. And then Bucky was like, just because I'm not good at the underwear Olympics doesn't mean I can't play ball. And then he just dominated last year. So I'm very much in on Bucky, this upcoming year, long-term dynasty, however you want to slice it. But I would probably have still drafted Bucky just a hair later. I'm okay with it, right? Like this is in the bucket. This is in the range, right? A lot of these guys they're still mystery boxes, obviously, Casey. Like they haven't suited up. We don't know if Omarion Hampton's going to be quite as good as the prospect that he is. We don't know if Quinshon or Travion or even like a Caleb Johnson, like any of these guys, we just maybe one of or two of them flop. I don't want to believe that, right? I think these guys are really, really good. But I never will fault someone for taking, the proven asset that got it done already, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of boring.
What's that?
What? Taking the proven asset? Everybody wants the mystery box?
Yeah. Well, at this point in the year, right?
That's dynasty, man.
Yeah.
Out with the old and with the new. You're 22 years old, done. We don't want you.
Yeah, no, that's we did this exercise and I was like, well, I kind of, as we started doing, I was like, this is going to kind of unfold kind of how we think it is. But I will say, I think it does speak to the strength of the class because I feel like the mystery box gets a lot steamier, this time of year for a lot of people where they're like, oh yeah, I'd definitely trade that guy in for the new guy because this guy's so much fun and it's rookie. But I feel like we had so many heavy hitters last year that cashed in that you're like, well, it didn't make the 24-25 comparison so much fun, but it's basically, I like this as far as doing it here, doing another one after the draft, after we see where they go. And then in 6 months to see how much everyone's opinion changes on this, because inevitably it certainly will. If we did, 24 versus 23, nobody would have taken Jaden Daniels, above, I don't even know who was in the 23 class, Anthony Rich, CJ Stroud, right?
Stroud, yeah.
Right. So, all right, we got Tyler Warren coming in here next. What makes you so confident about Tyler Warren, even though, I'm a big Tyler Warren guy?
I just like that he wears number 44. That's about it. Dallas Clark, Cole.
Oh yeah.
He's got to be good. No, man. I mean, he just checks so many boxes aside from the late breakout age, which means he can't be good, Casey.
Of course.
So, man, I'll tell you what though, I have a lot of positive things to say about Tyler Warren, but I really think Colston Loveland, and I'm sure we'll get to him later in this episode, man. He's closer to Tyler Warren in my rankings than I thought he would be this time of year. I really thought he'd be like head and shoulders above every tight end prospect. And I'm starting to become significantly more bullish on Loveland, man.
Yeah, I don't. We Loveland isn't going to play into this process because we're going to be kind of done with it by once we get it done with this round. It's a lot of the 25 guys left mixed in with a few later 24 guys, but I do think Loveland is one of the bigger landing spot dependent. Like he can get real close to Tyler Warren if the landing spot's right for him. Like I think if he goes to your Colts, people are going to be a little more like, that gap's going to even grow a little bit. Right now, he's probably around the turn on Superflex tight end premium for a lot of people. But he goes, I mean, I know this is low hanging fruit, but there's kind of a little steam is Shanahan going to take Loveland if Warren's gone? If he goes to the Niners, they're going to be right fucking back. People are going to be so zooted up that they're going to be right back to back. And some people are going to take Loveland over Warren, right? So, maybe even if he goes to Dallas, or even if he goes, I'm just pulling straws at the moment right now of where he could go and kind of have some interesting landing spots. But Colston Loveland feels like a guy that when we revisit this, if the landing spot goes correctly, they could be back-to-back picks.
Yeah, and this is a very real discussion, Casey, right? This is no bullshit Jatavian Sanders versus Brock Bowers last year. That was never close, man. People wanted to make it sound like it was closer than it was, and not too close right now. Yeah, so this is real.
Any input before we move on, Chev?
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I did an episode with Andrew Cooper where he talked about potential landing spots, and what if Colston, one of these guys goes to the Jets? They don't have a target behind. They don't have a target behind Garrett Wilson. Mm-hmm. I mean, it would be that tight end, be it Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland, then Garrett Wilson, that tight end, and then Breece Hall, maybe. But Breece Hall's in the committee now, apparently, even though he played 72% of the snaps last year. So I think that if he goes somewhere where there's only one alpha wide receiver target, then Colston Loveland immediately is in that discussion. And to your point, Austin, there's not a huge gap in talent. It's just that one guy was in an offense that just peppered and fed him targets, and one guy was in an offense that didn't understand that football is played with a forward pass from time to time. So, the talent gap is not immense. It's just that one, like I said, was featured production, just all over the place, had a 17 catch, 200-yard game. And then one guy just did not have functional, they had enterprise used car salesman at quarterback. So, I agree with your point. And the draft capital is going to tell us a story. And even if he goes, to the Colts, it's probably not going to be great in 2025. But if you guys suck and they clean house, You're looking at a brand new quarterback in 2026, potentially Arch, potentially Arch or, Cade Klubnik or, I mean, they're just saying there's a bunch of guys. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier, whatever you like, whatever flavor you like, they're re-rolling that quarterback in 2026 if they really, really suck. So the situation could really change. And you taking Colston Loveland and having a little bit of patience, which is something we preach anyway, could pay off in spades if he has an upgraded quarterback situation. Yeah. Or if the guys they have can play quarterback, maybe.
Also a potential option.
We will suck. I just hope we clean house. That's it.
That's it. All right. Tetairoa McMillan, I would have taken Odunze over him. I just blew it looking at the list. Does anybody have a problem with that? Is everybody Ted over Rome, or how do we feel?
I find myself liking Rome. I think about how I felt this time last year, and I liked Rome more than I liked Ted. And I like Ted. I don't want this to come off as anything negative pertaining to him. I really like Ted. I just like Rome more, man. And I think this upcoming year is going to prove a lot of people wrong. You remember that JSN year 2 compared to year 1, right? I'm not saying it's going to be apples to apples, but I'll tell you what, he's going to take a big step in the right direction.
Oh,
we just lost Chev.
Hold on. Yeah, super cool. Love that for myself. Hold on.
What, you don't like Rome Odunze?
No, I fucking love Rome Odunze. I was about to drop biblical bars about just
hung up on me.
I was like, this is the worst possible time.
Only 3 spots of difference in the ADP. So before you freak out and say that there's no way, Tet 3 spots ahead of Rome. What do you think, Chev?
Dude, I fully agree. I think we're all, sweep it. We're 3 for 3. I mean, Rome is awesome. And he managed to put up 700 yards receiving in an offense that's completely broken. Just to add a couple numbers that stand out to me on Player Profiler, 18 red zone targets, that's 10th in the league, 13.8 average depth of target, 23 deep targets, 917 unrealized air yards. That was the second most among wide receivers. So all of that just points to me that if he gets into a system that works, he's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I have a higher evaluation grade on Rome Odunze than I did Ted. Full stop. No equivocations. So I'm not deterred by the fact that it's a little JSN-y, and I fully expect for Rome to be one of those guys that, he's firmly in the first round if we do 25 versus 24 in November.
Chev, you bring up a lot of great points, and he's doing this. Remember, he did that as a wide receiver 3 with a rookie quarterback. Makes it even more impressive.
Exactly.
Right. And I think if you look at the splits with and without Keenan Allen, he's like 8 points with Keenan and like 12 or 13 points without Keenan in the lineup. So he moves into 1B or even 2. Like I think DJ Moore is going to have a nice season. Like I like DJ Moore this year in this offense with Ben Johnson, but like I think Rome is going to be out there doing the damn thing.
Yes. Full agree.
I like it. All right. Let's end this episode with this. I think Cam Ward and JJ McCarthy is a good way to end this episode. Like on the back half of this thing, Worthy's the only other 25 guy that goes. And I think you could have moved him up and people could, what we saw at the end of the season from Worthy was excellent. He's got the capital, but Rashee Rice is going to come back in. We're going to bring Hollywood in here. There's going to be, a hodgepodge of things going on. Maybe they add another running back in the draft, maybe a little earlier on. So take that for what it is. But I think, and I don't know for sure, but I think we're about to have a 3 for 3 sweep here. You took Cam Ward. Austin, why Cam Ward over JJ McCarthy?
Because he's better. He's just come on, man. I don't know. I'm probably just a certified JJ McCarthy hater. I don't think he's gonna I don't think here's what I'll say. Perfect situation. I love the coach. I love the receiving core. I love what they're doing to make his situation as ideal as possible in Minnesota. JJ was one of the most difficult prospects for me to evaluate because of his, collegiate production, because of what he was asked to do at Michigan, right? Nothing. I mean, they just ran the ball, right? They were up 24 points at halftime every single game. I know this rookie year obviously gets hurt in the preseason. It was tough, man. We didn't get to see anything from him. A lot of people want to go take a swing on him, and that's okay. I get it. I'm probably gonna take a back seat and just pivot. I'm gonna probably be drafting players in the same tier, but just avoid JJ McCarthy, man. And I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he does.
All right, you got the Titans jersey in the back. Before I go, I'll let you go, Chev. What first of all, do you feel the same way?
Can you find pork on a pig? You know how I feel. We did this on a live on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I mean, old dumbass decided to tag me in a poll on Twitter, and I was like, "Hey, let's talk about it. Don't go put a poll out there to make you feel better about yourself. Let's talk ball. Let's talk about what's better about him. Like, we're talking about a dude who never surpassed 330 attempts in a season in games where they were ahead the entire time. He's got 700 total attempts in college. Cam Ward doubles that. In addition to that, Cam Ward's best year was him putting the team on his back in Miami being in Heisman contention, and his numbers were comparable to that of the last 4 or 5 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson. So I don't understand. Like, I understand the fact that he's really athletic. He has great, he comes from a quarterback groomer in Khakis Harbaugh. I get Jim and John confused sometimes. And, he's in now in a system. So what?
Jim likes the pleats.
There we go. So I just don't understand. Like, it's projection. You're projecting to project what he could potentially be, whereas you've seen the traits from Cam Ward that tell you, hey, I'm worthy of being the number 1 overall pick. And the crux of the discussion on Twitter, or, the fuckface tagging me a bunch, is he was saying, well, JJ McCarthy's a better prospect. He would be the number 1 overall pick in this class. And I just, you don't have anything to say. Like, there's nothing for you to stand on when you put the two next to each other and say, hey, let's look at this tape. Let's look at this tape. Like, how do we get to this point? Like, now you're taking JJ McCarthy over Cam Ward because his ecosystem's way better. But comparing them as prospects, no, get the fuck out of my face with that.
Well, yeah, and we touched on it with Warren and Loveland. Look, if Loveland's coming out the year before, he's everybody's tight end 1 and everybody loves him. But Warren this year had the crazy highlight plays and everybody's all, you know what I mean? So if JJ was coming out this year and was on that version of Michigan, is he the better prospect? You know what I mean? And that's hard, all conjecture and hard to say, right? But we're fighting 2 battles, right? Because we know JJ McCarthy's in Minnesota, and we saw Sam Darnold just go over there and do well. We've seen Dobbs go in there and have a nice run in that system. So it's a very friendly system, and those are he goes from Harbaugh, who's a quarterback guy, to O'Connell, who's a quarterback guy, and it's all set up around him. But like you guys said, Austin, he was hurt. He didn't even really get to go through the motions for the whole season. He doesn't even have like a whole season of just sitting there being the backup quarterback, running scout team or whatever he would have been doing. He was hurt, lost a bunch of weight, and then he had to have another surgery. So, and then on top of that, like, I feel like everyone just thinks this quarterback class sucks because there isn't a lot of them. And I think Cam Ward was, if Cam Ward came out last year, no, Cam Ward wouldn't have been in the same, realm as JJ McCarthy, because JJ McCarthy's team won the national championship. That's just kind of how it works. I mean, you can look at the Penix dichotomy of the week that he was going in playing Texas and beat him. He was is he the QB1? And then he gets beat up by Michigan and they're like, he's not even a first rounder. He sucks. And that's just how stupid this whole kind of process is. I think for me, I'm taking Ward over McCarthy just because the tools, man. Like, the ecosystem's great, but I mean, and look, I think if he's going to Tennessee, everyone's going to be like, yeah. But we know how quick the situations in the NFL can change, and it is fair enough, right? Like, it's one awesome one and one kind of, and we don't really know right now, right? There's a lot of cards up in the air, but Cam Ward's got almost everything you want from a quarterback outside of maybe the top-notch decision making that is, but. Like, dude, nobody was over there thinking Patrick Mahomes is going to be Patrick Mahomes, right? He was at Texas Tech. Nobody cared about Texas Tech. He wasn't like winning an absurd amount of games every year, carrying them into contention for potential. I guess at that point would have still been. I guess it would have been college playoffs, but not obviously not the system that we're in now. And Ward's one game away from potentially getting at least in the ACC battle, right? Was it Syracuse that got him?
Yeah, they lost. I mean, they had to score 40 points every game to stay in the game. Like, he's literally having to carry them week in and week out. And you see him put it on every week in, week out. They're down 2 touchdowns. He finds a way to get them back into the game. And then against Syracuse, it just finally their luck ran out because they couldn't get a single stop. Right. Shout out to Kyle McCord, man.
No, McCord was good in that one.
Do you guys you realize Cam Ward was benched 5 quarters and he still led the nation with 39 passing touchdowns, right? And Chev, you brought up a great point, man. Miami actually scored 36 plus points in 11 out of 12 games. The only game that Miami didn't score that much Cam Ward threw 3 touchdowns, no picks, 350 yards. So he had to put the team on his back every single week. All he did was deliver, you know?
Yeah. And he's got that little bit of magician in him. And yeah, sometimes it goes wrong, but that's what you want in the league, right? You want a little bit. He's mobile enough. He can scramble around. He's got the arm strength to get himself in trouble. I saw you today, Chev, quote tweeting somebody of kind of Ben Roethlisberger-esque for Cam Ward. Obviously, you know, not the size of Ben,
right?
But kind of does some of the things, and it would get Ben in trouble from time to time. Hey, just throw it away. But instead, Ben being Superman. But I mean, that's all kind of part of it. And you hope that Callahan who has been around a bunch of good quarterbacks. Obviously, Levis, it didn't work out, but Levis and Ward are not on the same pedestal, even close. So you have, you know, a good quarterback, doesn't earn the moniker of whisperer maybe at this point because all those guys were good, but like I think he's been with Stafford and the Mannings, and
he knows what it looks like.
Right. So I'm with you, man. I think we're going 3 for 3 sweep here. I think we're all going Cam Ward over JJ, and the comment section will probably be a ride. People are going to be mad, but man, I think that we're so enamored. Like we know as much about JJ McCarthy as we do fucking Cam Ward. You know, all these other guys in this mock, we saw them play and do something, right? We saw them be excellent. That's why we're taking them over the mystery boxes, right? Because the guys who came out in 24 that we're talking about all made this draft a little boring because damn, they were all that good. And the mystery box, we're like, you know what? We'll take the really good thing right now. But the JJ McCarthy is still a mystery box. It just happens to be dressed with nice wrapping paper right now, right? And the box
he's
really
going to get
nice.
Brock Purdy, and he's got first round draft capital, and it's super duper sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we don't know if he's Brock Purdy.
Right. Right. And Brock Purdy played a lot of football, putting the team on his back and gunslinging it all over the place, right? That was always, you know, McCarthy's athletic. We've seen him make good throws. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. It might take 2 or 3 years before we even figure this conversation out, right? But I think for me, and it's Cam Ward. For Austin, it was Cam Ward, and for the Tennessee Titans loyalists over there, it's Cam Ward. And you know, I don't think it matters that he's going to Tennessee. I don't think it's a homer call for you at this point, right, Joe?
I mean, no, it had nothing to do with that. I mean, I just think that having a guy that has that Ben Roethlisberger-esque play, like ability to make any single play a wild card play where you do everything right and they keep the play alive long enough and wander over here, shake a tackle here, and then somebody breaks open because you've been playing for 9 seconds and somebody breaks open. Now you've got an explosive because he completes a 25-yard pass. So it's just those are things that you can quantify because you can measure how long the play takes and all that stuff. But someone's ability to do that at the collegiate level and then the next level, you don't know how that's going to translate. But we've never seen JJ McCarthy have to do stuff like that. So we don't know if that's part of the package. We don't know. We haven't seen any quarterback in
for sure gonna hit you with a play that JJ McCarthy had. You never had to do that. Here's a play of him doing that.
I'm gonna get fried in the comments, and I'm ready for it.
Oh, for sure. All right, Austin, appreciate you joining us. Hit us with the handle where we can find you. Let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah, man. At Austin Abbott FF on Twitter. I put out content every single day. Just happy to provide value. Just happy to talk ball, man. And I cannot wait for the 2025 NFL draft. I only think about it every second of every day, and not my wedding. So
we'll see Austin after the draft. Obviously, we're getting closer and closer, which is why we did this episode. Nobody wants to hear any more prospect talk. Let's just have a couple different conversations. We'll let the chips fall as they may. Then we'll come back with so much more prospect talk, but we'll have landing spots. And we'll see Austin after the draft to come in here after he's been face deep in a stripper's booty in Hollywood over there.
That's how you get pink eye, son.
Chev, where can we find you, man?
Just get on X, search at Chev90. I'll retweet something that I put out on a daily basis. So yeah, just go to my page and you'll find all that stuff.
There you have it. Find them both on the Twitters. You can find us on the Twitters. You can find us on the Discords. Find us anywhere you want. Holler at us. 5-star review if you haven't. Sub on the pod or sub on the YouTubes if you haven't. Until next time, that's Austin. He's Chev. I'm Casey. FF Dynasty out.